Give me just 6 minutes of your time to give you a useful life coping strategy. If you're bummed, find the but. You might not feel like crap right now, but they say the best time to learn a new coping strategy is when you don't yet need it, for reasons which we will discuss in just a few minutes. And when you leave this episode, I want you to take one new vocabulary word with you. Something that will change the way that you experience bad moods. At least it did for me. That word is anhedonia. Allow me to explain. Happy people, much like shoes in my size, are basically a myth, but that doesn't mean that happiness is. Happiness just isn't a place that you can stay permanently, like IHOP. The trick to happiness is knowing how to re-enter after you've temporarily left, or more likely, been kicked out. Like IHOP. Sir, please don't put the syrup back into the carafe, but I didn't use it all! But here's the problem. People in bad moods tend to evaluate things in ways that keep them in bad moods. When you're in a moderately bad mood, this can actually be helpful. That is, it can make you more objective. There's a reason that having your head in the clouds is an expression that can refer to both feelings of happiness and experiencing delusions. Experiments have shown that people who report being in moderately bad moods tend to behave more realistically than people in happy moods. For example, when asked about the outcome of random events, happy people tend to believe that they exerted more control over those random events than sad people do. In other words, the sad people are more correct. Let me explain to you why you shouldn't be having any fun right now. This has been called Depressive Realism, a term coined by Alloy and Abramson in the late 80s, early 90s. But when you get into one of those really bad moods, one of those that crushes you emotionally and physically, this rationality can actually go too far in the opposite direction. This can lead to rumination, which is when a bad thought gets kind of stuck in your head and it replays itself over and over and over, which is one thing that can keep you in a depressed mood. And it also can lead to the experience of anhedonia. Anhedonia means without pleasure in Greek or something, I don't know, ask ARTexplains. It's a delusion, or rather distortion, in the opposite direction. If happiness is like having your head in the clouds, then anhedonia is kind of like falling headfirst down a manhole. And like a delusion, in both cases you are typically unaware that it is occurring. Everything's normal! Specifically, anhedonia makes it so that the past, present, and future all seem bleaker than they actually are. For example, you feel like you've never had fun before, you're not having fun right now, and you'll never have fun again. This is wrong. When you're experiencing anhedonia, it won't feel wrong, it will feel realistic. But it is wrong. It can be tough to wrestle free from this. After all, your brain is the one telling you these lies, and you are your brain. I guess you can't trust anyone these days. So what are you supposed to do when anhedonia rears its ugly head? Find the distortion. You know how when you see an optical illusion for the first time, or one of those stereoscopic magic eye pictures? They can be tricky at first, but once you know how they work, you will see them differently. So, if you're bummed, find the but. Step 1. Use that word anhedonia. Acknowledge that you are experiencing it. You are a human, you have emotions, and sometimes they lead you astray. That's okay. Step 2. Grab a negative thought, one of those annoying ones. If it helps, imagine that it's a little gremlin. They usually come with 3 stripes: past, present, and future. For example, nobody cares about me. No one has ever cared about me. Nobody will ever care about me. That's a toxic thought, and no, you're not strange for thinking it. Everybody does sometimes. Step 3. Flip the gremlin over. Find its butt. With 1 T. Or 2. 3 if you're freaky. There is a flaw in that negative thought, and you can find it. Nobody cared, will care about me, but here's a memory of a time I ran into an old teacher, and she was happy to see me because she cares. But I'm looking through glasses that someone helped me pick out because they care. But tomorrow we made plans, and it might not seem like it right now, but those plans will be fun because we care about each other. It may be hidden, and it may be hidden deep in a clever corner of your mind, but the but is there. The gremlin will squirm, of course, that's what gremlins do, but once you find the crack in the gremlin's argument, he'll be weaker, even if it's just because you know his name, Anhedonia. That leads me lower back to why you want to learn about anhedonia when you are not experiencing it. Because if you don't, the gremlin will try to convince you that none of the coping techniques are any good. He is wrong. Learn about Anhedonia now when the gremlin least expects it. After all, if you fall to the bottom of a pit, it's better to already have a rope with which to climb out with. With which to climb out. Prepositions. Coping approaches like this that are systematic ways of re-evaluating one's own thoughts generally belong to a field known as cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT for short. It is one of the most, if not the most, useful branches of modern psychotherapy. This particular approach was created by me, but the more general approach of CBT has been used to help countless people reclaim control over their thoughts. There's a link in the doobly-doo if you want to learn more. Good luck finding those gremlin butts, and if you need to find a butt today, I hope you find it. If you found this useful, interesting, or you just liked the half a dozen cheeky puns, please like and subscribe with the buttons below. It really helps me out. And if you want to super subscribe, I do have a Patreon page that needs some love. See you next time.